So it's the end of Black History Month, but then it leads right into Women's History Month. So this is just my time of year. I'm excited to let you know what I read in February and what I plan to read in March. So grab a drink, I have a Manaragua here, and let's get right into the video. All right, let's jump right into what I read. So unfortunately, I didn't read a bunch in February. I don't really know why. I mean, I read about 6 books and I'm in the middle of 2, so I guess that's more than a book a week, which is pretty good, but normally I read more than that. Quickly, I did read a couple books for my Goodreads Choice Awards Horror Nomination Awards. I'm reading the top 10, and I'm almost finished with that. I have like 2 books left, and then that video will be out, but I don't want to talk about them here because I'm going to have a whole video dedicated to that. I also quickly wanted to talk about my reread of The Shining finally. I'm still trying to read a Stephen King a month this year, moving forward in publication order. I'm not going to say much here because I'm going to have dedicated videos for these as well, but I am glad that I finally got around to this reread. Love this book. Then I read The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead, and I'm not going to talk much about this here aside saying that I really liked this, and I also really liked the movie. I'll link my last video here, which was a book to movie in-depth comparison of The Nickel Boys, and you can go watch that. But yeah, great book for Black History Month as well. All right, and this next book is the one that I really want to talk about because I saw it on my Instagram timeline so many times and I had never heard of this author before, but the title captivated me. And that is Burned Down Master's House by Clay Kane. This book was so good and what I needed in the moment. I don't want to ruin this book. I think it's good to go in it just knowing what I'm going to read from the flap. So let's just get right into it. It says, amid the smoke and turmoil of a divided nation, another fire stirs, one lit by the enslaved. The rebellions are quiet at times, explosive at others, but never mere resistance. This is outright opposition. When the flames come, justice will rise with them. Luke, quick-witted and perceptive, and Henry, a man of strong and defiant spirit, forge an unbreaking bond on a Virginia plantation called Magnolia Row. Both seek escape from unimaginable cruelty. And sure as the fires of hell, they will leave their mark, sparking future uprisings and rebellions. Like Josephine, a young and observant girl who wields silence as her greatest weapon. She listens, watches, waits. Her vow is clear. They gonna remember us. Then there is Charity Butler, who has successfully fought for her freedom, but battles against a deeply unjust system and future abolitionist. Lastly, Nathaniel, a black enslaver, yeah, you heard that right, whose existence disturbs the very nature of bondage. His role is both fragile and contradictory, a system of betrayal and retribution within the system of slavery. Inspired by the true stories of the profoundly courageous men and women who dared to fight back, Burned Down Master's House is a singular tour de force of a novel, breathtaking in scope, compassion, righteousness, and timely defiance. So yeah, it's interesting because this is almost reads like 4 short stories in one, but they're all connected, which I love when stories can do that, and I think Clay Kane did a good job with that. It starts with Luke and Henry's story at Magnolia Row, and it's not really a spoiler because obviously it's like Burned Down Master's House, and that does happen. What I love is that it starts with like gay lovers. Henry and Luke are very much infatuated with each other, and I like to see that representation in these slave narratives because you don't see that very often. I really need to read The Prophets. I've said that so many times, but I know that book is about a love story between 2 black male slaves, and I just haven't read it yet, but I need to pick it up. Anyway, this came at exactly the right time, and it shows how if you plant a seed of resistance, it might take a while, but it's going to grow and spread and get bigger and bigger. And it's dang near like embedded in like your genes within like your family and ancestry and your history and lineage. And I think that is what I needed and need currently in our political climate that's happening. And just to know that like subtle things do build to a bigger outcome, and to be patient and to understand that resistance is important and however way you can do that. I do want to say and mention, we're talking about Nathaniel, who was a black enslaver. That was an interesting choice. I enjoyed that part, and I think it's important because there were black slave owners. I don't know how I feel about it being in this one because I feel like it kind of tore it down a little bit for me, but I need to sit with it a little bit longer to decide how I feel. But I'm thinking about doing a full book review about this one because I really, really enjoyed it. And I just need to take a little bit more time to process my many thoughts, if you can see that here. But I think this is gonna be like a 4.5 star out of 5. But yeah, this came out this year, I believe. It's pretty new, but you definitely need to pick it up and let's talk about it in the comments. No spoilers unless you give a big spoiler warning, please. But I need more people to be reading this so I can gab with others. All right, so those are all of the completed books. And then the book that I'm in the middle of right now is James by Percival Everett. Y'all, I bought the audiobook from Libro FM and I'm listening to it as I'm reading it. And it is the best experience ever. Like, I literally feel like this is the best narrator for an audiobook I've ever experienced. And I like don't want it to end, but I do. I'm enjoying myself so much. I'm on page 96 and I'm hoping that I can finish this tonight. We'll see. If not tonight, then I'll definitely finish it tomorrow. But yeah, if you don't know, because this is very, very popular, I believe that Percival Everett won the Pulitzer Prize, or at least was nominated. I'll put it here. I'll have to look it up if he actually won. But it's like a reimagining of the story and the adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, but it's told from the black slave character Jim in the book, but it's him telling his story. And I'm having such a good time with this. I will give my thoughts next month in the wrap up, but I'm sure this is gonna be one of my favorites of the year so far. And then I'm also in the middle of Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. This is a nonfiction read. I'm on page 128 and very much enjoying it. I just didn't gravitate towards nonfiction very much this month. I'm trying to do a nonfiction once a month, but I just didn't get around to it. But this will be perfect. It'll slide right into Women's History Month because it is a black woman who wrote this, and she's basically arguing how there is an American caste system, just kind of like you think of India or Nazi Germany. And yeah, I think her argument, she's backing it up with a lot of knowledge and history, and yeah, it's been a cool read. I am excited to finish this one. All right, that's the end of the February wrap up. So let's get into what I plan to read in March for Women's History Month. So this isn't woman, but we're gonna get this person out of the way. We're just gonna talk about the next book I have to read for Stephen King, and that is Night Shift, which is actually his short story collection. And I have not read a short story collection by him before, so I'm very excited to pick this up. I just wanna see what's in here. Jerusalem's Lot, Graveyard Shift, Night Surf, I Am the Doorway. Yeah, I don't know a lot of these. Children of the Corn is in here, so I will be working my way through this month because I'm trying to pick up the momentum for his books and trying to read one a month. So there's that. Then, as you know, I'm reading Toni Morrison in publication order as well. And for the first quarter, I need to read Song of Solomon. I was hoping to get to it for Black History Month, but I didn't get around to it. But this is going to be perfect to read for Women's History Month as well. And I don't know anything about this book, but I like to go into her books blind. So yeah, I just know it's about a man named Milkman Dead, and that's it. So I'm excited to get back into Morrison. And then, as you guys know, I do my TBR jar picks with all of my physical TBR that I need to still read. And my pick for last month was Wild Seed by Octavia E. Butler, and I did not get around to this, but I'm just gonna move it to this month and read it. It's perfect for Women's History Month, and I'm going into this blind. So yeah, this is still the rollover TBR jar pick. All right, then I have 4 other books that I pulled from my bookshelves that I'm just really excited to read. I'm not gonna go too crazy, so I just picked 4. I think that's gonna be doable. And to start, I'm trying to read a classic quarterly, and I figured this is a great month to read Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. I somehow have never read this book. I was not told to read it in high school, and I don't know anything about it. I don't know how I haven't been spoiled for this. I literally don't even know the premise. I just know that this is a classic, and I don't know anyone that doesn't like this book. I'm gonna just go into it blind. Yeah, and it's fairly short. It's not too long. Well, it's Deckled Edges. We'll see. Oh no, it's only about 200 pages. So yeah, I just don't want to be spoiled, and I'm very excited. I haven't read anything by Zora Zora Neale Hurston. Why do I struggle with her name so much? So I'm excited to read this one this month. The second book I have here is a short book, but I know it's going to be very impactful, and that is Minor Detail by Adania Shibli, who is a female Palestinian author, and I am trying to read more from Palestinian writers and learning about what's happening over there and what has been going on for years and years and years. I know this one is fiction, and it talks about the capture of a girl who was later raped, killed, and buried. And I think in the story, there's a woman like 25 years later or something like that that discovers her story and becomes obsessed with this girl and to figure out what happened to her and why, and just to tell her story. I believe that's what this is about. But I know it's going to be heavy, but I've heard great things about this. I also love this cover so much, but yeah, I will definitely be reading that this month. All right, the third book I have here is Junie by Erin Crosby Eckstein. I don't know much about this. I just love the cover, honestly, from the Aardvark book collection a few months ago. And it just seemed like it was gonna be, I don't know, it was just a cover by, and I knew that it took place in the Civil War era. So it sounded interesting, and it's a Black woman author. Let me just triple check now. Yeah, a Black female author here that I hadn't read before. I think this might even be her debut. I'll put it down here if I'm wrong, but anyway, let's just read this flap really quickly. It says, a young girl must face a life-altering decision after awakening her sister's ghost, navigating truths about love, friendship, and power as the Civil War looms. 16 years old and enslaved since she was born, Junie has spent her life on Bellarine Plantation in Alabama, cooking and cleaning alongside her family and tending to the white master's daughter, Violet. Her daydreams are filled with poetry and faraway worlds, while she spends her nights secretly roaming through the forest, consumed with grief over the sudden death of her older sister, Minnie. When wealthy guests arrive from New Orleans, hinting at marriage for Violet and upending Junie's life, Junie commits a desperate act, one that rouses Minnie's spirit from the grave, tethered to this world unless Junie can free her. She enlists the aid of Caleb, the guest coachman, and their friendship soon becomes something more. Yet as long-held truths begin to crumble, she realizes that Bellarine is harboring dark and horrifying secrets that can no longer be ignored. With time ticking down, Junie begins to push against the harsh current that has controlled her entire life. As she grapples with an increasingly unfamiliar world in which she has little agency, she is forced to ask herself, when we choose love and liberation, what must we leave behind? Okay, cute. I didn't realize there was going to be as much romance in here, but I'm cool with that. I'm excited for this one. And the last book that I want to get to in the month of March is Woodworking by Emily St. James. And this is a trans woman author, and I'm trying to read more from that perspective as well. And this is her first novel. So I'm not gonna read the flap of this one. What I know is that this is set in, I believe, South Dakota, and there is a teacher that recently is divorced, 35 years old, Erica Skyberg, and she's trans, but she hasn't told many people this at all. And I don't know if that's why she got divorced or what. We'll figure that out in the story. But she realizes that there is an openly trans student in her class, and they have this like unlikely friendship about their transness. And that's all that I know. And I've heard great things. I think this came out at the end of last year or very beginning of this year. So it's a pretty new release. And I don't know, the cover drew me in as well. And just knowing that it was also a trans woman author, I was like, sure, I'm gonna pick it up, and I'm excited to see how I feel about this one. So that's it. If I happen to get through all of those books and still need more, I'll just pull other women authors off of my shelves, because as you guys know, I have a lot of unread books. So that's it for this video. As always, if you like what you saw here, please hit the subscribe button down below. It really helps me out. There's also this new feature called Hype, and I think you have to have 1,000 subscribers in order to see that feature. But if you do and you're a content creator as well, please hype this video, because it really helps in terms of pushing my video to other people and just helping me grow my channel. So yeah, that would be awesome if you could hype it. Other than that, I'll chat with y'all in the comments until the next video. Chat soon, y'all. Bye.